these evidence pairs are always difficult because there's so much information that we need to sort through. So your job really is to just narrow your focus to little pieces of information one at a time, so that you're not trying to cram all this stuff in your head, right? You got 4 line references, you got 4 choices, you've got probably in this case a very confusing passage. You got to find something to latch onto that your brain can really focus on. And so when we're looking at other questions where we normally talk about strong words in the answer choices as ideas that we need to latch onto so that we can then compare them with the lines and look for that same idea in the lines. But strong words appear all over the reading section, okay? They should be important no matter where they are. And in this case, the strong words, I think, appear in the question. Well, those ones are going to be the most helpful. Let's look at the question. In passage 1, Douglas implies that legislators' consideration of the bill that he has proposed has been clouded by the blah, blah, blah. So this is maybe a little bit of a tough word for some of us, but if something is clouded, it's not good. It means that something's getting in the way. This is like saying that there's an obstacle. So this is negative. I'm even going to kind of dumb summary this a little bit and say there's something getting in the way of this bill. And so that idea is going to be very, very important as I now go through these line references and look, is there some obstacle that they're talking about? Is there some problem? If there's not, then it's probably the wrong line reference. So let's take a look, 25 to 29. That's here. Is not the question involved the simple one, whether the people of the territory shall be allowed to do as they please upon the question of slavery, subject only to the limitations of the Constitution? Well, they're not talking about the bill here. They're talking maybe about the question that the bill is about, but they're not saying that there's any sort of obstacle to the bill here. They're just talking about the topic of the bill. So yeah, nothing really negative. I mean, maybe someone sees this idea of like limitations of the Constitution, but again, that's a framing of the issue, not a specific problem with the bill that's going to deal with that issue. So it's irrelevant to what the question is asking. So we can get rid of this. Choice B is just going to continue that. 29 to 32 is right here. That is all the bill provides. That is all the bill provides, and it does so in clear, explicit, and unequivocal terms. I do not wish to deal in any equivocal language. Yeah, that's where it ends. So this is, if anything, this is saying something positive about the bill, right? It's unequivocal, it's clear, meaning it's not hard to understand, is what Douglas is saying here. So doesn't seem like an obstacle, which we know is supposed to be something that's negative. So this also seems to not match with the strong word that we really want to find in this passage. 32 to 33, if the, it's going to be here. Yeah, here, if the principle is right. Is this really it? Just this one line? Yeah. If the principle is right, let it be avowed and maintained. If it is wrong, let it be repudiated. Well, they're just talking about the issue that the bill is talking about here. There's no problem with the bill. They're saying if the bill is right or if the ideas in the bill are right, then there you go. It'll be avowed, and if it's wrong, then it'll be repudiated. But it's not saying any specific problem. It's not saying that it is wrong, right, or that there's some reason people think it's wrong. So this, again, is kind of like an empty just line reference. It's not saying anything related to our question. The idea that we wanted from that question is just not appearing. Now, we think it's probably D because we've eliminated everything else, but let's make sure. Let's see if there's a difference between how we read these lines. 33 to 36 is here. Let all this quibbling about the Missouri Compromise, about the territory acquired from France, about the Act of 1820 be cast behind you. Okay? So quibbling means fighting, right? Arguing. So what is happening here is the legislators are quibbling about the Missouri Compromise, the territory acquired from France, the Act of 1820. So there's specific problems that the legislators are talking about here, other things besides the question in the bill. And so this is getting to this idea of an obstacle. He's saying, put this aside, right? Cast it behind you. He's saying, let's get the obstacle kind of behind us. Let's move it away. And so what is the obstacle? I don't really know at this point, but I can tell there's something in these lines that he's saying needs to be dealt with and swept away so that the bill can be passed or whatever. So let's look at these choices now in 32. The bill has clouded by the moral dilemmas inherent in the issues of slavery. This is 100% a trap choice. They know that when you've learned about American slavery in school, it's that you talk about the morals of it, you talk about how terrible it was, but that is not what he is talking about here at all. So you cannot just use your own personal feelings or memory of history to answer these questions. He's not talking about slavery as being bad. He's saying, let's ignore all these other problems. The morality of everything is not coming into this at all. B, emphatic language that characterizes the text of the bill. Well, he talked about the language before. That was choice B. But remember, line reference B was saying the language was good. It was easy to understand. It was unequivocal. So that's not a problem. That's not something that's clouding the bill. It's helping it, if anything. So this is not right. It's not, the language is not a problem. The language is good. C, discussion of issues that are fundamentally beside the point. Well, can I name some of the issues? Line reference D seems to be maybe a list of issues, right? The Missouri Compromise, the territory acquired from France, the Act of 1820. So yeah, those seem to be issues, so that part checks out. And they're besides the point? Well, he's saying cast them behind you, so they must not be important. Notice, I don't know for sure that that's right, but I'm able to very quickly kind of chop that answer choice up into littler, smaller questions, and then find something in the line that kind of answers the question. If I can do that for another choice, then I've got a problem. But usually there's only one choice where the answers to these littler questions that you come up with are going to be free-flowing. If you have to force it in, not a good sign. But if it kind of just feels like a natural answer based on the lines, you're probably in good shape. And, you know, these seem like natural answers. But let's look at D. Let's see. Pre-existing loyalties and rivalries present among the legislators? No. None of that is talked about. I know nothing about who likes who and what legislators are in a clique together and vote together. No idea. So C and D are, in fact, the answers. I don't really have any particular proof that Douglas is right, that these are issues that are besides the point. But I don't really care about the truth of what Douglas is saying. I care about what Douglas is saying. That's what the question is about. So especially with these history passages, you cannot answer based on your own opinions, your own beliefs, your own knowledge. Everything needs to come from the lines. And to me, that's a very big benefit of the no reading strategy, is it forces us back into those lines and really to focus on the things that matter and not to let our own ideas creep in. And the ideas that are always going to matter most are the strongest ideas. So if you can latch onto them, the rest of this passage will become clear even when it's confusing.